You're listening to the Aha Moments of Success podcast, an audio journey to your success.
And welcome to Aha Moments to Success podcast. I'm your host, Anita Heidema. This podcast is about helping you stop stressing and start successing. Successful entrepreneurs share their life and business events and aha moments that have transformed their lives into their dreams. Hello everyone, happy Mother's Day. Welcome today to the Mother's Day Aha Moments to Success special. I've switched things up a little bit today, and usually it's entrepreneurs and executives that we interview and their aha moments, but today I wanted to have a little bit around Mother's Day because it has a Mother's Day message. My interview today with Jessie is about, pearls from her mom and her message around her mom. And in October, when she interviewed me, I talked about my message and vice versa. And it's really important to share that wisdom and that legacy from our mothers. And I thought it was just so fitting for Mother's Day. You know my message behind my mom and the loss of my mom to Lewy Body Dementia and how she was misdiagnosed. And, as I've gone out there and shared my message, I've learned of so many others out there that were mixed diagnosed, that have been diagnosed properly now, and what a difference in their lives it's made. So if there's anything more that you want to know about Lewy Body Dementia, please come on over and message me directly. Come over to my website, anitaheidema.com, Giving Back. I have some more detailed information there. I also have a Fenna&nbsp Lewy Body Dementia Facebook page where we share information, and would love to share and be able to help in any way I can to be able to help you reach the right doctors and get the right diagnosis that's going to work for you and your family and your loved ones. But today we have a wonderful message from Jessie, and I'm so excited to share this. And thank you, Jessie, for your interview with your pearls from your mother and your aha moments that you received from that. So hopefully everybody enjoy, and I'd love to get your comments or any other things that you'd like to make about your mother and how she's made a space in your heart, what wisdom that she's given to you. And I'd love to hear all that you have to say in the comments below, and I hope you enjoy your Mother's Day. Today we have an Aha Moments to Success podcast. We've got Jessie. Hey, Jessie.
Hey, Anita. How are you?
I'm doing great. Where are you calling in from?
I'm on the Quebec side, but I'm up here in Ottawa.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fellow Canadian. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a transplant. I'm an expat, but I consider myself Canadian now.
Yeah. And whereabouts in Ottawa?
So I live I live like 12 minutes from Parliament, but I do live on the Quebec side up in Chelsea.
I know Chelsea.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's the way I go in. I know the Chelsea pub, and that's the way I'd go in to go through the Gatineaus, through the mountains. It's a beautiful town.
Yes, for sure. I totally agree.
So how long have you lived there for?
It's like 4 years, going on 4 years.
Nice. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful little town, especially this time of year when the fall leaves are changing.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Well, so I have a business where I do performing and creative arts. I teach classes in music, dance, art, and fitness, ages birth through 95. I mean, like 100, whatever, like all ages.
I hope I'm still moving like that at 95.
You should see some of the, I teach at retirement residences, and you should see some of these folks shake it. They're pretty good.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah. So I do that, and I just got commissioned by the National Arts Center to do their Toddler Tuesday programs, which I'm really excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do for, to make a living. And then I also have a passion project where I help women and men share stories about their moms who have passed away.
Okay, we're going to have to talk about that one later.
Yeah.
As you know, with me, with the Lewy Body, my mom and the foundation I've created and bringing awareness throughout Canada for Lewy Body Dementia. It's a huge one and close to my heart. So, but this is about you. So I want to talk about, what were your aha moments? Like, was there something within your life or your business that propelled you to do what you're doing?
Well, I love what you're doing here, and I've listened to your shows, and so I can't say that I can say there's one big aha moment that I've had in my life recently, but I think my life has been a series of little aha moments. So I think to understand the context of where of where I'm at now, it would help if you knew where I was before. So I got my bachelor's degree in theater. I always wanted to be a teacher. And when I was younger, I thought that the only kind of teacher that you could be would be a school teacher. And so I went to university down in Colorado to be a theater teacher in high schools. After going through some of my education classes, I realized that public education was not where I wanted to be. So that was a bit of an aha moment. And I decided to just change my major straight up to theater. And I figured I was just going to find a job. I kind of wanted to be a Hollywood stunt woman. I was thinking, so random.
I can see that. Jumping from building to building.
Exactly. So, I mean, that was kind of my epiphany there, my aha moment there. And then when I left university, I somehow stumbled into sales. I just randomly, and I always thought I was a creative type. So to me, business was always, the man. I was kind of raised by hippies.
The business suit.
Yeah.
The boringness.
I was like, you can't be creative in business. It's all just numbers and, handshaking and all that stuff. So I somehow stumbled into sales because that was the only job you can get with a theater degree somehow. And other people get, whatever. That's what I got. So, and I was terrible at it at first, but I just kept working at it, In fact, my boss tried to fire me 3 times and I worked on commission. So I was like, what do you care? Like, why don't you just let me learn? So I got good. I got really good. I got good at training. And then I realized that I was teaching people, and I was living out my dream being a teacher.
Oh, so we went around like a full circle.
Yeah. So, I didn't have to be in the public school sector. Not that there's anything wrong with that for people that are. It just wasn't for me. But here I am, and I got good at something, and I'm able to teach. So I had this grand vision of myself in sales. I wanted to be, this badass businesswoman, working my way up to director or VP of sales, wearing my business suits, possibly becoming a CEO. This is what I wanted. Yeah. And I started working for a publishing company that's actually based down there in Toronto in Scarborough.
Oh, where's that? Which one's that?
Nelson Education.
Oh, I used to sell to Nelson.
Did you?
Yeah, I was in the paper industry.
Oh, cool. I loved my job there. Everybody was so great. I loved, I got the car, I got the phone, I got the computer, I got to travel, I got the credit card. It was like everything in sales I thought I had wanted. And I was doing really well. I really enjoyed my job. And then my mom got diagnosed with terminal cancer. Like there was no way that she was going to survive. And it just got really hard to work there.
Were you living in Toronto at the time?
No. So I lived my territory. I was stationed in Ottawa, but my territory was from Kingston. So I had Queen's University all the way up to Sudbury. So I had Laurentian and Cambrian. And so it got really hard to do that. And so while I was working there, and they were super nice, the company was great. They let me take time off. They let me work remotely, to spend time with my mom as much as I could. And so 8 months after she was diagnosed, she passed away. And obviously that's a really hard thing to deal with. And all of a sudden, my definition of success changed. And I no longer saw myself as that businesswoman, as that VP of sales. That was my aha moment where I said, what is success to me? It's not what I thought. And for a while, I was still trying to work and trying to live out that vision that I had for myself. And I felt like a fraud, to be honest with you. It was toxic for me because I felt like I was trying to trick myself into wanting the same things that I had wanted before my mom got sick.
It's easy to get caught up into that, right? So, and as the journey of life, it just takes you through that process, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm sitting on my couch one day, and I was allowed to work from home because I would go out to the universities and sell to the, make sure that the professors were happy with their books or those kind of things. So I was sitting on the couch and I saw the school bus pulled up. And my kids don't ride the school bus. They have the before and after school program, And there were a lot of times with the company where I'd be traveling. Like I said, my territory was pretty large, so I was on the road quite a bit. And then, we'd go to Toronto for meetings and things like that. So I saw the school bus pull up and I thought, You know what? My new definition of success for me is to do something that I love that makes me happy and to be home when my kids get off the school bus.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can do that and, make a living, then that's my new success. And that was my big aha moment, was watching that school bus pull up, watching the kids get off, watching their parents, come greet them at the door and welcome them home from a hard day of school. And so that was really when I decided I had to change my situation and I had to change my definition of success, and I had to be okay with that. That was something that took a while for me to be okay.
Yeah, and it's hard because I think we've all been brought up that we have to contribute, and we think that raising our children is not contributing, and it is. It's a huge part of it, and our kids grow up so quickly, and designing your own life the way you want to live it is so important. And you coming up with that aha that you wanted to create that so that you'd be home with the children and see them come off the bus. That's so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, it took me a while. I ended up telling the company I was going to leave. It was around this time last year that I told them I was going to leave.
Oh, it's still somewhat new.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And they asked me to stay on through the end of the year last year, and I did. And then in January, I started my little performing and creative arts business, and I couldn't be happier.
That's phenomenal. So are you able to work from home during the day and then just do contract work?
Yeah, so I teach classes. Sometimes I teach classes in retirement residences. Mm-hmm. So I'll go out there. I have some community center classes. I teach for paint night as well. So I'll go out and, on a few nights a week, I'll be teaching at a bar, people that are drinking and painting and having fun. So
how cool is that? You get to teach everyone how to paint. Some of them sound like they have more paint on themselves than they would actually on the canvas, but that sounds pretty neat. You're tying in your creative side, to a business. That's phenomenal.
Exactly. So that's why I thought it was kind of important that you knew I wanted to be a teacher, and then I guess for lack of a better term, I failed at that or whatever, and then I wanted to be in the arts, and then for lack of a better term, I failed that, and now I figured out how to put those together. And that's I am in the sweet spot of life right now where I get to be around my kids a lot of the time. I get to be doing what I love, and I'm teaching people something that I love to do.
Okay, we got to rewind here. You said
sure.
You failed at that. You didn't fail at that.
I don't
get over there and beat you, girl.
I'm not afraid of failure. In fact, I do.
No, it's not. You can't even say fail. It's a learning lesson. We go through these in life, right? That's what my whole book is about learning lessons. So you can't say fail because you're programming your subconscious mind to feel that you failed. You just learned to go on the other side. It was interesting. Someone was talking to me, I think it was yesterday, about how, there was something inside them was telling them to do this. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but they were supposed to do this specific thing and they couldn't understand why. But when they ended up doing this act, they learned something else from it in a different direction. And it kind of came to them later. And that's what you went through. You knew you had that teaching in you. And think of all the stuff you picked up along the way, working for the company to get back. And you've got these tools in your tool belt that you can use towards your business, right? So it's not a failure. Don't do that. I'm going to get over there and beat you up.
All right, good. Well, I kind of learned to stop using it as a negative term, but I could see how when I say that it could hit somebody.
Yeah. It programs the subconscious mind. So that's why I'm just teasing you.
Perfect. I'm into it. I love it. I need it.
So, are you finding that there's going to be next steps to this? Are you going to be going somewhere different in the business, or?
Yeah, for sure. I'm always looking to expand. I'm really excited about the gig that I just got at the National Arts Center, to be working with families and, on the Tuesdays, Toddler Tuesdays. It's going to be really fun. And I'd like to expand more into schools. I know a lot of schools are looking for after school programs, whether it be fitness or music. Because, nowadays schools don't have as much in the way of programming. They have to jam in all of the other stuff. And so a lot of the times the performing and the creative arts get lost.
And we need to keep these teenage kids busy. Sometimes and more fun stuff, maybe do more homework in the classrooms, but then extracurricular just to have fun as opposed to it being so programmed all the time, right?
For sure. Yeah. So I'm definitely looking at getting into some schools with that. And then I'm working on my passion project on the side, which I would love, I'm looking into figuring out how to monetize that. I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we got to talk.
Yeah.
So, the pearls from my mom. Give me the details on that. I mean, I don't know if you know a lot of my story about my mom and what's happened in that, but it was a huge time in my life, and starting the foundation to bring awareness around Lewy body, and what parents. When we lose our mom, I mean, in either side, as sons and daughters and whatever that is, it's a really, really difficult thing in caring for them. So I'd love to hear more about your mission.
Oh, for sure. And I think that the work that you're doing with your foundation is amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to you about that. But so my mom, like I said, she was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and then 8 months later she was gone. And I remember I flew back to Colorado. I was sitting at the table with her and my sister, and my mom was she was an optimist, but she was also a realist. So she was very practical about the situation. She wanted to get her things in order and not leave anybody with a headache. That was her main goal. And so she was talking to my sister and I, and she was trying to divvy up things. I have this thing I want you to go to you. I want you to do this with the house, all this stuff. And she said, I don't know what to do with this string of pearls. And I said, Mom, I don't care about your pearls. I just want your pearls of wisdom. And it struck me that, after she's gone, I didn't want to, that was my biggest fear, was that I would forget, or, that like she wouldn't be a part of my life anymore. And so I started a blog. It started out as like a personal blog just for me and my sister and our kids eventually, to just kind of go over the pearls of wisdom that my mom had, all these sayings, like all the like I can't even think of one off the top of my head, but take the best and leave the rest, and just little quips,
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, so I started to write those down, and then I thought, and then when she actually passed away, I just felt alone, even though I knew I had friends whose moms had passed away, and I know that there are other people in the world, but it just didn't seem like there was like a place that people talked about it. And so I started, the blog, and I'm a sporadic writer at best, so I'm working on that. I'm gonna better, like,
again, we have to talk.
I know. I'm gonna get better, I promise. That's my next goal with that. But and then I started listening to podcasts, and I thought, what a great medium. And I thought, well, I'll just get on I'll just make a podcast, and I'll talk about my mom. And if people listen, that's awesome. And if they don't, it's therapy for me. And I have, tens of listeners, which is great. And I love them all. And I'm, people are coming out of the woodwork to want to tell their mom's story. And to me, I just think that that's amazing. And I think it's helped me so much. And when I talk to other people, they say it's helped them. And hopefully, as people are losing their mom, they're looking for a space to share, or even just to listen to other people share their stories, and they won't feel so alone. So for me, it's been incredibly therapeutic, and I love every second of it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that you're doing that and sharing the message. And, it's interesting because I think as people go through it, it's such a, like you said, you feel so lost and you feel so alone. And you can't imagine anyone can relate, because it's your own hurt and it's your own story within inside, and that connection you have with your mother, right? Mm-hmm. That's there. And so that's the lonely feeling. And even though people would say to you, I can relate or whatever, your first reaction is you can't relate, Mm-hmm. And so sharing this on the platform that you're doing is such a great idea, because it's allowing people to be able to accept it a little bit more and realize there's more people without it being so direct, right? So they can listen to your podcast and be able to share that message and remember those times that you had with your mom. I mean, both my parents unfortunately passed away. And so when I relate to it, I always think about, when I was 26 and lost my dad, and to me, I felt very young, and to have lost my father and moving in and caring for him. But I mean, people have very, very young that haven't even had those years with them, and how they've dealt with it. And it's so important to share those messages and those different types of situations and how they've been able to cope with it. So mm-hmm. Good for you. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
So when did you start this? Was it a year ago?
Yeah. Well, the podcast, I just launched it on August 18th. That would have been my mom's birthday.
Aw.
Yeah, and I just decided like the month before, I was like, you know what, I'm doing a podcast, because I love listening to podcasts, and I thought, why not? That's everybody's got a podcast. I better do one too, and I love it. The blog I started longer than that, but again, like I said, I'm a sporadic writer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk after this. Well, I think we're going to be doing interview as well. So, but
sure.
then we're going to have to talk because there's so much around that. And when you have such an important message to share like you do, it's important to get out there and even keeping people active, keeping people creative. It's so important when they're younger and when they're older. I mean, I love what you're doing with the 95 plus. I told you I want to be like 100 years old, right? And I want to be active and moving around. So I think it's great that you're doing that. And there's so much importance in doing those things, right? And then you're doing that with your business and then being able to share messages for other people with the Pearl story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting close to the cutoff time. So I wanted to ask you, if you had 3 tips for listeners out there as an entrepreneur and 3 habits that they might be able to incorporate in their lives.
I do. So I think, and some of them will sound cliche, which is fine. I'll explain them. But the first one I have is just, my tip is be yourself. And I know that people hear that, and I heard that. And when I was feeling like I was being a fraud, I wasn't doing something that made me happy. And so I had to realize that myself is creative. Myself is a teacher. Myself is, somebody that's not boxing myself into a career I don't want to be in anymore. So my first tip is be yourself, listen to that, like really follow that dream.
It's so important. And I think some people don't even know what that is. That's the problem. They might be caught into a situation where they've forgotten, right? Like, weren't you caught in that situation wanting to move up the corporate ladder and you weren't listening to your own instincts and your inner intuition, right? Mm-hmm. And so you thought at that time you were being yourself, really?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and so I had the exact same experience in the corporate world, and we're going up the corporate ladder and thinking the same thing, that this is what I wanted to be, and then you forget. So I think it's also coming back, right? And so that's important. So important to know, like, yeah, be yourself. It's so truthful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's tip number 1. You hit the nail on the head there.
Good. You did.
Well, you agreed. So tip number 2 is to take care of yourself. When you're on the airplane and they say you got to put your air mask on before you put anybody else's on, it's so true. And I'm a mom, and a wife, and I know what it's like to try to take care of everybody else. And so it is important to listen to yourself and to take care of your needs.
And not feel guilty about it, right?
Absolutely,
mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's number 2. And then number 3 is to focus on the positives. It's really easy in life to kind of focus on I didn't get enough sleep, or, this thing happened. But living a life is a miracle. Breathing is a miracle, and some people don't have any more breaths left. And so just focus on that positive and life will be so much better.
And it's funny you say that about, I didn't get any sleep today. There's times where, I've literally had, a couple hours sleep or whatever. And how quickly you can change that if you keep thinking, I feel so tired, whatever, as opposed to, I'm feeling great today. Look, the sun is shining. Just even trying that little tiny thing, how it changes, right? It's so true in what you're saying, like the positive side of things, and just thinking and changing that, right? As opposed to, I'm so tired all the time. Mm-hmm. It's really important. For awesome. Sure. Yeah. So they've got 3 habits for people?
Yeah. So the last one ties into my first habit, which is daily affirmations. Mm-hmm. I have a list of 10. It's always the same 10. And then if I feel any more, then I'll say them. But I have to yell them out. And it's things like, I'm a beautiful person deserving of the best. It's always the present tense. I am this. I'm healthy. I'm strong. And it always ends with, today is going to be the most amazing day. And I just think that doing those daily affirmations, I can tell when I don't do them, the day is kind of, it drags on. And so I have to pick myself up and I yell them out just because it gives power, you get strength behind it. But those daily affirmations really, really do help me.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And you know what? Until you've actually tried it and worked through it, I think, some people think it's all too woo-woo or whatever, but until people have actually sat down and worked it and saw the change that it makes in their life, right? And the belief systems of themselves and how much more positive you feel throughout that day. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, you don't really realize the change. And so, yeah, that's really important to do the affirmations. I've got in my Mind Your Business class, which is a program that is sort of like my starter program to some of the programs I have. I've got an actual affirmation sheet that they can print and then write in. And then when I do my speaking talks, I actually have the double-sided tape and you put it on your mirror in your bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things I think are always really helpful, because you're always brushing your teeth or going through something, and you want to build that habit of doing those affirmations. So when it's staring you right in the face, and then when you say it, you're also looking at yourself, right? And that's so important. So that's awesome. Okay, habit number 1. I love it.
Yes, thank you. Habit number 2, it's to have a cup of coffee or a warm cup of something that makes you feel loved. Like I don't just love coffee because it wakes you up or anything. I mean, it feels, even on the most crazy of days, if I just take my time to have my cup of coffee, or if you don't like coffee, have some tea or some warm apple cider, whatever it is that you do. But and you just center yourself for the like 10 minutes that you're drinking your coffee or your tea or whatever. It's such a small thing, but if I am running out the door and I don't take those 10 minutes to myself, then I can feel it for the rest of the day.
Sit in a comfy chair, put a blanket on, put your hands around the coffee cup or the warm whatever, right? I could just imagine it. But it helps you just sort of ground yourself, right?
For sure. It's those like, even on the most crazy days, if you give yourself 10 minutes to just enjoy something that makes you happy, then I think that's...
Well, some people out there are going, well, I do my glass of wine.
And that's cool too.
And that grounds me. Do I have to warm it up?
No. I just like the morning because, like I feel like,
I know.
It just sets a good tone. But yes, if you need to have your glass of wine, you have a glass of wine. That's fine.
I like adding some humor, so I put a little bit of twist in there here and there. So
I love it.
But I'm sure people are sitting there going, oh, does the wine count?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, good.
All right. And my third habit is, I was toying between, working out, but yeah, everybody knows you should do that. So I want to say my third habit is to say, I love you as much as you possibly can to the people that mean the most to you. So when my kids are walking out the door to get on the school bus, always say, I love you. Have a beautiful day. When I talk to anybody, that even my friends on the phone, I will tell them I love them and they tell me they love me back. And I think that is just a really powerful habit to get into. Some people don't get told that that they're loved a lot, and I think it's just such an important habit to be into, and to really mean it when you say it, and to say it as often as you possibly can.
Yeah. I think sometimes we forget to be grateful for those in our lives and those things that we have, and to do that is so important, right? And I think, because of what you've been through with your mom and the loss and that, people get so caught up in their lives without taking those few minutes just to express that and make sure that they know it, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
That's an awesome one. Very good. Well, thank you so much for calling in from Chelsea. I love it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And I really appreciate your wisdom, and I'm so sorry about your mom, but I love the message that you're sharing. And, out of some of the negatives that we go through in our life, we end up being able to share and help others. And that's definitely something that you've done with your business and your blog and your podcast that you're putting out, right? So it's important to be able to help others. And your mom's probably smiling down at you and very happy right now.
Thank you. I think so. And I'm sure the same thing about yourself as well.
Aw, thanks. You had me in tears, by the way. I was getting tears in my eyes. So it's good that it's a podcast and no one was able to see that.
That's all right. I cry like almost every episode. So.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's it's always going to be true to my heart. I think it was last week, and somebody came up and I'll just tell the story quickly. They were wanting to go into help people, sort of like a caregiver into homes, and she said, a lot of it's through the social system, and she goes, there wasn't really a way of monetizing, and who's going to look into that there's a need. And I got up to the microphone and I said, I wish that I would have known that someone like you was there to help me, because I didn't have as much support from my mom, because she didn't really want to accept it, and she didn't really want to. I didn't really know where to go because I was on my own. My brother was in Vancouver. He wasn't always around as much. And so I didn't really know what to do. And as I said it, I just started to cry. And there was all these people in the room. Like, oh no, that I couldn't even, I was choking up so much I could barely even speak. So, it is one of those things that, it's important to share. And I really wanted her to know that what she was doing was really, really important. And, that there's a lot of other people that were in my shoes like I was then, and people in my shoes like I am now, and like you, right? So it's important that we share that message. So I think it's wonderful what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anyway, you have a wonderful day, Jessie.
You too.
And we'll touch base for sure, and we'll talk after this and be able to work on another podcast that we can do and some other stuff. So looking forward to it.
Sounds great. Thanks, Anita.
Thanks for your time.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that's it for today's episode of Aha Moments for Success podcast. Thank you so much for joining in. I appreciate all your comments and all you do. And as a thank you, I want to offer you our Rich Life and Business download. It helps you get clear and focused so you can sit down and really focus and plan what that is that you want in your life and business and be the author of your life. You go to anitaheidema.com/richlife. ANITAHEIDEMA.com/rich, RICHLIFE, one word. It's a free download for you and a thank you. Again, I'd love all your comments, anything you'd like to share, or any way in social media that you can bring this to other people that might get any kind of insight and help from these podcasts. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for joining my guest and me for this week's journey to success. I'm Anita Heidema. Talk to you next time. Ciao for now.